Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the With Teacher Conversation session. Before we start, there are some of you who haven't renamed yourself yet, then maybe you can click on participants, search for your name, and then rename it country underscore name. I see Max and Neo already done that. Thank you so much. Like I said, you might want to prepare a pen and paper to write notes or whatever note taking devices that you would like to have. Go get them now and say hi in the chat to the rest of us. And if you'd like, then you can share when was the last time you had your mental health check. All right. So welcome to Global Teacher Conversation. My name is Atika and I will be supporting our community takeover lead for tonight, which I will be introducing to you guys later. A little bit of Zoom norms. You might want to mute when you're not speaking. Not that we don't want to hear your voice. We just want to make sure that audios doesn't overlap here and people can give their full attention to everybody. And then be present. We want to make the experience for everyone as genuine as possible. We might not be in front of each other physically right now, but let's make it really as though we are in front of each other. So we want everyone to switch on your video if possible. And most importantly, participate actively. Don't be shy. There's no like wrong or a right answer here. When it comes to conversation, we just want to hear stories and have a dialogue with everybody. Right. Also sharing with you guys a little bit of GTC pillar principles. These are the three pillar principles that we stand by. Number one is to be respectful. Doesn't matter where you are from in terms of location, or doesn't matter where you are in terms of positions right now. We might want to be mindful of how we speak, behave, and communicate with each other, right? We don't mind if this person is not at this level yet. This is not what we're seeing at ETC. Number two is be supportive of each other. Sometimes our speaking partner might not be as confident as we are in speaking English, or they just take a little bit more time to process. So we want to give space and time for partners, but also be supportive that they can do this. English is not something that is familiar to every one of us. So I want everyone to play the empathic and also the supportive friends in this. Number three is to be participative. I have mentioned this before. How can you be participative? You show interest, ask questions, and also answer questions. I can tell you there will be questions that will be thrown to you by our speakers tonight. And I would like to see some questions to our lead speaker tonight as well. Okay, let's go through briefly the agenda for tonight. We're doing some openings right now, and we will go right into community takeover. Last time it was art for educators. Tonight it's psychology for educators. So I'm excited to start this new series. I hope you guys are as excited as I am as well. Then we will have conversation as usual. We will have dialogue with each other. We'll close with some announcement, photo time at around 9:30-ish. Right. Now, I want everybody to type in the chat. This is when you test whether your keyboard is still working. Okay, type in the chat. What is mental ability mean according to you? Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. Let's try. William said mental ability means to accommodate stress. Okay. What about the others? Max said mental ability means to be mentally stable. All right, good one. Okay, I want to read a few more from Neil, from How. What about the others? I see Amil just comes in. Maybe you guys can share in the chat. What does mental ability mean to you? Just one more. If you want to unmute and share your response also, that could be done. All right. Yes, Neo, thank you. So Neo said, mental ability to that means the ability to process our surrounding. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Now, I cannot wait actually. We have gone through the preparing for the session yesterday with Yusra, and I'm really, really excited for her to just get on with this session. And I'm glad that tonight we are joined by our friends from Malaysia, from the Philippines, and so from Japan. Perhaps we can get a different perspectives here tonight. Hi, Isra. You ready to take over?
Yes, thank you very much, Atika, for the chance given to me. Hi, everyone. I'm Yusra, and today will be like sharing from me. Just I would like to share my personal experience and maybe some few takeovers that we can practice and help our students. So just a like session, not too heavy, but hopefully something meaningful for everyone in this room. The title will be Looking Back to Lead Forward. It is experience sharing from me myself during my school years. I'm not that old yet. I'm the 2000 generation, born in the year 2000. You can calculate my age, not yet 25 years old. But I have this few experience close to my heart that relates to mental health. As the disclaimer shown at the top of the page, most of it is my personal experience, and we have some theoretical part, some technical part, which come from my study, which is I'm a psychology student. First of all, the background that most of the people knows about me is my participation in an NGO called Toastmasters International. I'm one of the area K3 director, which is the youngest among 4 countries, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, and also Singapore. I'm the youngest among all the area directors there. And also I'm a research assistant. Currently, my grant is from Norway, and also a master's student in University Malaysia Sabah. I'm also the Malaysian delegate for World Health Organization for United Nations. I've been to few countries presenting my papers. And basically, all of this is just my experience, my collective experience, nothing much, nothing less. And from my journey, let me bring you to my journey first. I started my primary school back then in 2007. Just a normal kid in a primary school, always top scorers. My UPSR, which is an exam, need to be taken by all the primary school students from Malaysia. I got straight A's. During that time, I only have 5 subjects. Now they have 10, if I'm not mistaken. During secondary school, we have 2 major exams, PT3 and SPM. For PT3, I got straight A's as well. And for SPM, I got 7 A's only. Moving on, I go to matriculation, the foundation, and I score. I was in the pure science track, fast track program, only 1 year. And then I got my degree in child and family psychology. I worked for a while, a corporate girl during 2022, a fresh grad. I got a job opportunity even before I finished my study. And currently, I'm a graduate research assistant, which means I'm working in my university as a research assistant, and at the same time, I'm doing my master, both in psychology. Now, it may sounds like a bragging at this point. How does all this achievement have to be related to our story? Let us start with just a simple activity, just a 2 minutes activity. I would like all of you here present tonight to scan this QR code. Scan it, go through all the links there, 2 minutes as fast as you can. Just scroll ups and downs. Maybe it is in Bahasa Melayu, or maybe you can translate it. And tell us, what did you find from your reading? What is your feeling after you read that? Type in the chat box or unmute yourself. Just a simple activity. Okay. Anyone has anything to say? I can see some of you
time to read.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's just take this time to just slowly process what you're reading right now. And
Okay.
then you guys can share your feeling and what did you find from your reading and what did you feel after reading that in the chat box. We will be waiting for your input in the chat box. Yeah.
Okay, I see one response from William.
You want to read that out, Yusra?
About how the disabled people, students, can be successful in their university studies. Okay, William, may you specify about the student if you can? Yes, Nurul Yusra from Alostar. And anyone else? Maybe I see Max, it's from Japan, Max More. It seems like you have finished your reading. Would you like to give a few words? Yes, William. You got it. Yes, the article is written in Malay. Okay, let me just go to the next part. If you have scanned the QR code, this is what you will see from there. A bunch of article about a person. In Malaysia, we call it OKU. If we translate it, it is called person with disability. And it is mental disability who have finished her degree in psychology. And just like what William mentioned just now, it's me. Is the same person who just been bragging about her achievement and all the titles that she have. But actually, behind all this title, behind all the smile, behind all the awards, there's actually students, the same person who have this card in Malaysia, we call it person with disability card, specifically mental. So the first point to be taken, don't trust everything you see on the internet, especially when you go through my Facebook It is just all the achievements, all the good things, all the awards. You won't even see this article in my Facebooks. Everything there is very sweet, very perfect, just like the daughter, the girl that everyone will be proud of. But actually, it's not. For the next slide, I will be sharing on a little bit of personal story. So I hope everyone can stop sharing, stop taking picture and to a little bit technical terms on what is happening so that you can understand more the stories that will come. Let me clarify first. What is the differences between mental illness, mental disorder, and mental disability? Because we are going to have this term interchangeably during all my sessions, like I have 1 hour more. So just bear with me. First one is mental illness. Mental illness typically is a symptom. We always heard of depression, anxiety. It can be temporary. It can be chronic depending on the severity and condition. Next is mental disorder. Mental disorder is a specific set of criteria. For example, if we put example as physical illness, if you have flu, it's the mental illness, it's just the symptom. But if you have COVID, it is mental disorder because mental disorder comes with a set of symptoms. Got it? So like if you have both depression and anxiety as this mental illness symptoms, you might have bipolar as your mental disorder. Basically, illness is the symptoms that we can see, we can measure. A set of mental illness, a set of symptoms is what we call mental disorder. And how about mental disability? The mental disability will come when it involves cognitive impairment, your social skills or conceptual skills being impacted, and also the condition is lifelong. You will suffer even through the basic things, even how to button your shirts, how to open the door, how to navigate your way to your workplace. That's what we call mental disability. So what differentiates these three is the severity and the set of the symptoms. As for now, all clear? Any questions yet? Because we are going to meet all these terms after this. So far, so good? Okay. Let we see what is mental disability in Malaysia. It has two different types. In Malaysia, there's two different category of mental disability. The first one is learning, and it is very specific. The global developmental delay, which is diagnosed when you are 5 years old or below. Syndrome Down, the facial features are very specific. ADHD, you need to be diagnosed, if I'm not mistaken, 12 years old and below. Autism, also 12 years old and below. Intellectual, 5 years old and above. And specific learning disorder, for example, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyslexia. This is what we call mental disability in learning category. And it is not the same as mental disability in mental category. I'm not going to go deep in this yet because the term is very specific, but I would like to bring your focus to this part. It says that this mental disability can only be authorized by psychiatry specialists, and patient must have undergo treatment for at least 2 years before you can get the card, the disability card. And other criteria that you can see from these two differences is for the learning disability, you will see the registration number start with LD. And the card is very specific. It will say you have the global developmental delay, intellectual autism. It will show on the card. For teachers, educators, I believe this is the card that you always see. Because if they want to go to special learning, they will have to have this card. And this is the card with mental. It will just mention the mental without saying any specific criteria. They will just put a label on your forehead. This girl is mental. Just like that. No explanation, nothing else. And it carries a lot of stigma when they see someone who have this mental card. The registration number will start with ME. And if you even Google the card for person with disabilities, you put it mental, there's no example of the card in Google. So that's why I need to use my own card here. Because it's very taboo. People don't want anyone to know they have this card. But for me, a card is a card. I see a question there. Good question. Okay. For mental disability, the mental part, this is the three main thing that they will see. As you can see from my card here, there's this 3 chip. 1, 2, 3. Means I have impairment in all the 3 categories. The first one is impairment in social function, which affect my ability to interact and communicate. Trust me, just 3 years before, I can't be in class. In fact, I didn't attend my whole secondary school because I was so scared to be in classroom and people basically doesn't help. They see you as weird and even the teachers ignore you. Because you don't speak, you lost the ability to interact, you lost the ability to communicate. You're just the freak girl who are in the back of the classroom. And the second impairment is in cognitive function. Cognitive is about focus, memorization, competency in retaining information. You can tell me to go out from my house, go to the lift and press the down button, but you didn't tell me to open the door. The instruction is not specific, so I will just bang my head on the door because you didn't ask me to do that. I need a very specific instruction back then, few years ago, but after treatment, luckily I got some sense of danger. I no longer need that specific instruction. But for example, you tell me we are going to have a meeting at 8. And I know every meeting I need to be in the room 10 minutes early. I will always be on time. That's kind of things that I will follow. Maybe you can say it as rigid, but because that's the information that has been registered to my brain. And other things, this cognitive function actually disturbed me a lot during my university days because I need to take a foreign language. And I failed because I couldn't understand. I couldn't read. How do you expect me to read Japanese during the time I take Japanese? So they asked me to memorize all the hiragana. I take a long time to memorize hiragana during my first and second semester. By the third semester, suddenly they want me to understand katakana. And oh boy, I mix up all the letters. I didn't even know how to read. Because you have asked me to memorize hiragana. I did that. By the time I need to memorize katakana, I forgot all the hiragana. And I can't even memorize the katakana. So I fail my foreign language subject, which makes my pointer to drop down rapidly because I got 3F. Semester 1, semester 2, and semester 3. I got fail, fail, and fail. Because I just couldn't remember. I just couldn't memorize at all. And the third category is impairment in behavioral control. I believe this is the most stigmatized one because people will understand you as you are very aggressive. If you see the crazy people at the roadside, at the street, at the dumpsters, they act weirdly. That's one of the example. But in my case, my impairment in behavioral control is just I couldn't stop crying. If you scolded me in front of public, I will just cry. I couldn't control that. And no one wants to stay around with a girl who always cry. I don't know how to do my homework, I cry. You scold me, I cry. I don't know how to open the door, I cry. I didn't get what I thought I will get, I will cry. That was few years ago that granted me the person with disability card. And this is just some technical terms that the diagnosis that I have been received actually is a lot because I got warded every year since I'm 15 years old. I got warded and then they diagnosed me with this, and then the next time I got warded, they diagnosed me with that. And it's just a collection of diagnoses at this point. It evolved, just like how Pokemon evolved, and the evolution of my diagnosis is just keep getting worse and worse. But I skipped 1 year, 2020 to 2020, because of pandemic. So they didn't have the time to give me new diagnosis, but it evolved every time. And also few types of medication that I have tried. To find a medication that suits you is like you are walking in hell. You won't know what medication suits you until you become very puffy, very breakout, very bad in physical, in mental. You couldn't sleep. You keep hearing voices because of the medication side effect. So this is few of medications that I have tried. Disclaimer, I didn't take any medication anymore. I'm free of medication actually. So where does all these personal stories will lead us? A moment to ponder for everyone. I received my OKU card just 3 years ago. My person with disability card is granted to me on 2021. The first card that I received is 23rd August 2021, which is during my university days, my final year. Imagine you are a final year student, busy with your final year project, and somehow they say, you are now a person with disability. Thank you, congratulations, this is your card. Your whole world is being put upside down. You don't know what is real, what is not. But let us just take a moment to think. If the card has been granted to me in 2021 in my university days, and the requirement for you to have the card is you need to be under treatment for 2 years. Means the symptom has started during my school days. It actually started way back in 2010 when I'm still a primary school student. But no one really pay attention until mental illness developed to mental disability. That's actually what happened because I'm not born with mental disorder. I'm not born with mental disability. It's developed just from minor symptoms, but no one really cares. And it develops worse and worse and worse. In Malaysia, we go to school from 7 a.m. in the morning until 2 p.m. at least. But because I'm in a fast track school, my school always every day from 5 a.m. we have this class right after subuh, right after our morning prayer at 5 a.m. until 5 p.m. So I spend 12 hours in school every day. And then during the night time, I go to extra tuition for another 2 hours. I just go home to sleep. So I spend most of my days, most of my times, hours with teachers, with educators instead of my family. But no one really know how to do. Because back then in 2010, me myself don't know that mental disability exists. Maybe some of us here in this room don't even know mental OKU card exists. And I noticed few of them in this room, I know them. I don't think they know I have OKU mental card. Because it's not something that we post publicly. It's not something that I'm proud to have. But I always do this sharing. In fact, this is 4 years in a row. I use the same sharing, the same story, just to create awareness little by little. Because the point here, these symptoms start way back in my primary school. They know that I'm weird, but no one knows what to do. In fact, they call me to the counselor room just because my result dropped. It's not because of my bizarre behavior. I'm still a prefect. I'm still a head student back then until in Form 3. But starting Form 4, 16 years old, my result dropped significantly. From someone who always scores straight A's, suddenly I was missing from class. I couldn't stand to be in classroom anymore. I skipped school for the whole 2 years. I didn't do my homework. It's just a typical trouble student's behavior. We may thought these students finally lost it from someone who always scores, suddenly she skipped class. At first, they will ask what happened. And then they will start comparing. What happened to you? Before this, you are a good student. Even you are weird, but you still do your homework. So no one really bothered. But I didn't attend classes. I scream at my teacher's face. I basically throw a chair to them. Just a behavior of students who cry for help. Maybe some of you knows, few years ago, there's this trend in Malaysia, we call it barcode trend, when they start harming themselves. They take a cutter or sharp object to make a marks on their skin to harm themselves without the intention to die. In fact, it's the paper that I just present to a conference last month. A self-harm behavior among students is actually cry for help. I started harming myself in my primary schools, 10 years old. My teachers know, my friends know, because it is obvious. You can see blood from my shirts, and I will always have a pair of cutter with me. But they didn't really ask why until I'm being called to counselor office because of my result drop. And when they see my scars during that time, they was just like, okay, this kid is out of our control. Let us just call the hospital. And from there, miraculously, I'm being admitted to hospital. They called me because of my result drop. I didn't attend the mid-year examination, the whole paper, the whole exam. I just skipped. I just ditched it. I don't care. So they called me to the counselor office. Before that, it's just the discipline teacher room. They call me and they refer me to counselor. Why are you not answering your papers? Why are you not answering your exam? This is important. This is for your scholarship. And then they saw the marks on my skin. They was just like, okay, this is not our problem anymore. Let us just call the hospital. And the next thing I know, I'm being tied to the hospital bed. The question here, were you a Yusra during your school days? Maybe someone in this room have this kind of behavior during their school days. Or maybe is there a Yusra among your students? Is there anyone in your mind when I talk about all the symptoms, all the signs, you think of one or two of your students? Maybe you remember your teacher's friend or a story you heard in the teacher's lounge about a girl or your student that skipped class out of sudden, a smart student that used to be top scorer and suddenly just dropped down. Maybe you can, maybe you it makes you remember about someone, or maybe it's someone, your family or not your students, anyone that you can think of, someone who suddenly become very rude to the teacher. What do you think are the signs and symptoms from the person that you remember? From your students, if anyone would like to share in the chat box, so unmute yourself, or from my story just now. What do you think are the signs and symptoms? I didn't mention about the severity to the point of hearing voices. It's just what are the things that you can take from my sharing just now is the one that you can see, if the question makes sense. I saw in the chat box.
Yeah, may I? Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
Saiful. Okay, what happened to me is right now when I was in school, because I'm the eldest in the family, so all the burdens he putting on top of me, saying that I have to be the best of everything, and comparison between me and my brother is like heaven and earth, where I have to be everything on top, even a single B is not acceptable compared to my brothers. He got everything. So it put a pressure on my side. And during my school day, I'm a loner. I always be alone. Always, I can mix around with everybody, but I'm not be friendly with anybody. I'm been lonely in the crowd. That's me. And the severity about thing is coming to the real point of my life when I was in the second year in the university. I was a mechanical engineer student in university. And that is where the thing happened. Everything drop out. Suddenly, I lost. At that point, my brother was in school and taking diploma. So everything was supported by my father have to pay for everything. And with me, I have scholar from JPA so everything was straight out on my side, but everything went out. So I skipped the whole school, the whole semester, just on purpose to fail. I'm a 3-pointer. So I end up down about two something, which is for JPA, two something is not really acceptable. So I need to, they take out my scholarship. And from there, I drop out and start working. And I realized that, and that is where I found out myself that it is my body or my mind telling myself there's something wrong with me. And that's my journey on learning about mental disability and mental illness. Then I realized that from early age, for example, me, I have dyslexic slide 1. I cannot read until I was standard 3. My handwriting is horrible. Starting well, I will got similar like kid to be can be punished by teacher all the time because my handwriting is horrible. And Alhamdulillah, after I'm getting older, then everything, and then I start understand and accept that I have some problem. Then I start understand that why, and I see the sign in my kid, and I realize that being alone without any support will not help. But if you have somebody who understand you, they will help. And all 4 of my kids got dyslexic, but somehow they managed to go through. In fact, the first one already working in he cannot be in a academic, so I take it out on Form 4, so no SPM, straight away under technical school. Now it's already one of the executive in international company for IT. And my second one is on the more towards art, so I put her in animation, and similar with my third one. And that's why coming up, we need somebody to understand. Yes, for me, yes, I suffered a lot earlier, but somehow it helped to help my children on that part. And I don't have the suicidal tendency, but I do had that thought when the trouble coming at that point of my life that I was thinking it's much better I'm not around in this world so everybody will happy. And that's what happened to me. Yes,
Thank you
Yusra, that's
for
all.
the sharing, Saiful. Thank you. I didn't expect to hear this sharing. It is very meaningful, not just for me, but I believe from all of us here, because I can see in the chat box that others start to open up about their stories just by listening to your story. It means that you inspire them, you motivate them to talk about themselves. And there's few terms that I can catch in your story just now, being lonely in the crowd. It is a very powerful phrase, I could say. It is not easy to be lonely, and I hope you are feeling better. And there's another part of story which is very important, and it relates to our key presentation for tonight, which is you drop out during your third semester during your mechanical engineering, but when you reflect back, it's actually started way back. You only can read during your in standard 3, which means all the symptoms is actually there, but it's being dismissed until to the point in university you break. That's what actually happened in our community in Malaysia or in another country. As my research is international, I've seen the same pattern over and over, which the symptoms being dismissed to the point we only see it when it already breaks, when it's already too late, when the symptoms becomes a disability. So before I go to the next question, relating it back to our audience for tonight, which is the educators, on how we can intervene it before it becomes a disability, and what can teachers or educators can really do to intervene to help at an early phase before it becomes worse. But before we go deep to this question, I would like to go back to the chat box from the beginning. I've seen a lot of sharing, a lot of text there. So can I just stop sharing for a while and we go through the questions first? Is it okay, Atika?
Yeah, and I think it will be really helpful also for everyone, maybe those who might miss it in the chat box, that we read some of the stories first before we go to the Q&A. Yusra, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right. I want to call upon those who shared this story. Perhaps you can either just read back your text, or you can also read back your text and add on to that if you guys are okay with it, so that people can actually hear you first hand. Maybe William, if you're okay to share. You can unmute and share with me.
What was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, you were sharing about your daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
you can just tell the story again.
Okay.
Here, so that everyone can
Yeah. Sure.
listen to that.
Because we saw her. Because we compared with the elder one, she starts talking before. I mean, she could say words before she turned 1. So when the second one was born after 5 years, we were still waiting for her to talk. Not a single word until she was 3. So we were like quite worried. And then, but of course, the older people in the house will say, no worries. You were like that. Can't talk when you only talk when you were 3, things like that, you know. But still, we found that something is wrong. So we took her to few specialists, child specialists, and everything. So finally, from hearing, everything was normal. Then we had some kind of tests going on. Finally, she was diagnosed as GDD, Global Development Delay. Whereas, I mean, she was like 5, but then she was like behaving like she was like 2. You know, now she's 14, but still she behaves like she's a child who wants to play around, coloring and things like that. But she is in the mainstream school. When we approached the psychiatrist, she said, no, I don't need to put her into special education because she would tend to follow their style. So as long as she can mengurus diri, she can what do you call that?
Manage herself.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
take care of herself, then she's okay. And standard one, standard two, she was not talking at all. We were communicating with the teachers in school through book. There's a long book. Whatever the teacher wants to tell the class, she or he will write in the book. So when she comes home, we take out the book first and we read what the teacher, because she can't convey. She can't say what the teacher says. But surprisingly, there's one particular teacher, I would like to mention the name as well. She's Cikgu Fatima. She was so close to her, and she started learning Bahasa Melayu and everything. She was like very attached to this particular teacher. And both of them has this wonderful kind of bond where she loves to go to school because of that particular teacher. And she was like doing well in a Bahasa Melayu. And things were okay until she finished her primary, but not that excellent. Now, when she's in secondary school, she finds, I mean, of course, we know the syllabus nowadays is very high. We can see, even the teachers can see that she's struggling. She's struggling very much, but they understand her situation. And she has a small circle of friends who are very good. Even every night, every alternate nights, the girls will message me, telling me, Uncle, my daughter should do this in case she doesn't remember. Things like that, you know. She has a very good friends, even teachers are there. But still, she's very, what do you call it? She's struggling with the studies. There's another option that we tend to take her out, uh, to put her in a special education so that she don't struggle later on, you know. So these are the things lah. But and when she was diagnosed earlier, it was like GDD, Global Development Delay, plus mild autism, mild autism. But now we are thankful that she can really draw, and she can really into comics, and she can really do excellent job. That's what she likes. So yeah, that's it. I can talk more, but I can talk a lot, but that's it. I'm scared the time, not
No, no
sufficient.
problem, no problem.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for
Okay,
sharing,
welcome.
William. That was wonderful. All right. To one more story is there. That's from a perspective of a friend. Neil, would you like to share your story?
It's not my story actually. It's just
Ah,
when Yusra asked, "Is there remind you of anyone?" I just
ah,
it's remind me when I was secondary school. There's actually I won't say it's friend, but it's someone very close to me because we are like a competitor from from primary school from the preschool, primary school until secondary school. But he's very annoying sometimes because he like to like use make some not proper joke like like make joking on your that father names like that. So I really don't like him. But when he was in secondary school, um I don't know how, and because I don't really close, I'm not really like talk to him. He get bullies. I think maybe like sometimes mental disorder mental can increase when the surrounding change. For example, he get bullied, and then after that he locks in his room. I feel it's short because he's very smart. He can like get all A in his subjects, in examinations, and then he not go to school anymore, not socialize anymore for I think until today. It's more than already like more than 5 years. He stay locked in his door, in his world. I sometimes I feel guilty, but I tell myself it's not my responsibility as well. But yeah, it's something I feel guilty lah.
mm. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Neil. We really appreciate it. I think it's good that we are being aware of what's happening around us. I mean, although a lot of people would like to say, well, this life is for me, for myself, and for no one else should care. But at the end of the day, we're social creatures. We live with each other, right? And we will be seeing a lot of things here. Right. Thank you so much, both of you, William, Neil, for sharing your stories. Let's pick up on the questions, Yusra. I will help reading out the questions and you can answer them. Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. Cool. Right. So William had a question earlier. How did you overcome the labeling by people around you? You know, when you mentioned, oh, people cannot see the word mental. When people start like stigmatizing, stereotyping in a heartbeat, you know. So how did you overcome that?
Me being me, thank you for the question. I always make jokes from the question. The most, this, the questions that I receive the most is why I go for the card, why I didn't just reject the card, because you can actually, but I choose to be agree with the card granted to me because of my reality. So I choose it. And the card actually come with some benefits. They will ask me, are you not ashamed of the label? This is my most loved response. I will say, because of the card, all my studies are being funded by our government. You know, if you have the OKU card, the person with disability card, they will pay for your school fees no matter what level you are in your school, in your universities, your degree, your master, PhD. Your fees will be waived as long as you stay in public university. And in fact, I received the 4 years fund for my master. Even I finished it in 1.5 years. So I have extra money and I bought a car using my OKU money. Using my person with disability card, I bought a car. And if you have person with disability card, you got free road tax as well. So basically, I'm roaming on the road because of my card. So first of it, jokes. And second, sometimes people can be very not sensitive if when they ask, actually, what happened to the point that I get the card. Let me share you why. My father actually in prison being caught, and I went to school like normal this one day in my form 4 standard form 4 2016. It's just a normal school days, and suddenly a group of police come to pick me up. They say my parents, both of them, are being restrained and being held, and that's where I lost everything. My parents are still there, but they are not with me. They are with police. And because of that, the JKM, what we call JKM in English,
Like
Jabatan.
welfare department.
Yes. And then comes a group of welfare department people come take me away. I'm being separated with all my siblings. We went to different center for all of us. People can be very insensitive when they ask questions. You should just be tougher. You should not be like this. You are a top student. You don't have to act crazy. So when sometimes people ask, I rarely give them the real answer. I say, one day I climb a coconut tree and then I drop head first and suddenly my brain couldn't take it anymore. So I cope with all the labeling, all the bullying with jokes. That's one of it. Second, I didn't declare. I didn't declare my situation up until 2021 when I finally have the card and I'm a final year psychology student during that time. I learned what is actually good, what is not. I even wrote a book on that during my internship. The book is being published under one of the university on how to cope with all the labels, how to be proud of yourself. It's not bragging. It's just you know what you have been through. You are making peace with your past. I wrote about that. And it goes to a very specific skills. I have all the notes, all the files. I've been under therapy. To cope with the label, it's not easy. But take it like this. People don't know what you have been through. People don't know the actual story. One of it because you are the one who keep making jokes of it. But even if you talk to them, if you tell them the truth, not everyone can take it. And sometimes it feels weird when you talk about the truth and people don't know how to respond, and then it becomes an awkward situation for both of you. So you just accept it. The first way to accept the labeling, the stigma, is to love yourself first. On my body, even now, there's a lot of scars back then when I'm still actively harming myself. To say I'm not ashamed of the scars, I'm not ashamed of myself is a lie, because it is something permanent on your body, some of it being staged, a lot of it I need to undergo a minor surgery to fix all the bruises, all the scars. I have burn marks, but it's actually a sign of strength. Even the neck fracture is from the time when I tried to unalive myself. Eventually, I got stuck at a building and my neck fractured, but I'm still alive. So all of these just a sign. And when I learn to talk, I try to put a story in a way that I believe there's a lot of people the same story as me, because I grew up in the center during that time. So I met a lot of people like me, but they are ashamed to share their story. But in the real world, when you share your story to the right community, to the right person, you will motivate others. Your suffering is actually will be a guideline to someone else. That's what I'm doing with my research now. We go from schools to schools. We have been to 30 schools in Malaysia, and we have identified these at-risk adolescents, at-risk teenagers, to help them to intervene their symptoms, not to become a disability. So to answer the question back, first is joke, and second is to accept it, to make peace with yourself and know where you are heading. You know that your story will help others. So that's how I cope with the label.
Right. Thank you, Yusra, for the explanation. Hi, we have one more question here from Max. I think this is a perfect question for a psychology scholar, uh, especially you. So Max has mentioned, I'm not a teacher, but was a paid volunteer as an assistant. I was at some elementary schools in Japan where I faced a student who suffers from severe mutism. This person will not talk or not speak at all. So Max posed a question here. Is mutism related to mental illness, or is it mental disorder, or is it mental disability, or maybe it's not in any one of this, right? So before we get to this question and get to the response from Yusra, Max, is there anything else that you would like to maybe add on to your story here for the question?
Hello, are you talking to me?
Yes, hello Max. Do you have
Oh,
any?
hello.
Yeah.
Actually, my internet condition is very fragile, so I was not able to catch what you said. So would you
Yeah.
repeat again?
We were wondering if you have any more stories you want to add from the students with mutism, or any other student that you see during your time as a volunteer assistant. And besides mutism, is there any other stories, like student stories you can share? I think Max.
Personnel with
Yeah.
severe mutism.
Mm.
So I was just simply wondering how was the cause of that. the symptom of the mutism.
Oh. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for the question, Max. Yusra, you want to address that question now?
Thank you, Max. But before I answer, may I clarify, is it mutism or autism? Mutism. Okay. If I understand it correctly, if it's mutism, mutism means you need to check. Oh, okay, mutism. Mutism is if they're literally mute. They don't have, either they don't have their vocal box or they don't have,
Just cut off.
if
Okay,
it's,
sorry, again.
may I clarify you, is it mutism or autism?
Oh, mutism, I think. I mean, she doesn't speak at all. She understands what everyone is saying, I believe. She doesn't have any intellectual problem. Any of the teachers, basically, not any of the friends. I mean, the classmates as well. Maybe she speaks with her family members. I'm not sure, but she doesn't speak in class at all.
So it has two possibilities. First, I thought it's a mutism. When it comes to mutism, it is a physical disability, which means she is unable to talk physically. Maybe she doesn't have her vocal cord, or maybe some parts of her organs are injured, which
No, I
makes,
don't think so.
because she talks with her family,
I
right?
suspect so.
Okay. So I believe it's
I think she's, yeah,
autism.
autism. Okay.
AUTISM.
Oh, okay.
Autism full
Autism.
name is Autism Spectrum Disorder. It is
Okay.
a mental disability. Some of the
Mm.
symptoms, they are very selective. They only talk to certain people. They are very rigid with their behavior, and the most percentage of autism, it doesn't affect their intellectual at all, but it affect their social the most. And autism, as its name goes, autism spectrum disorder, it has a very wide spectrum. Some of them are really smart academically. Have you heard about the movie Young Sheldon? Young
Yes.
Sheldon is a very smart boy but doesn't have the common sense. Is actually autism. They're smart. They doesn't have any problem with academic, answering questions, understanding text, understanding what is happening, but their social cues are very limited. For example, if you ask them 2 plus 2, they will say the answer is 4. But isn't it 2 plus 2 equal to 6 minus 2 as well? It's the same answer. It's the same thing, but they won't accept it. The answer of 2 plus 2 is 4. The way they wrote 4, it will be the 4 as a digit. If you wrote the answer FOUR, they won't accept it. It's not the answer that is registered into their brain. That's what we call autism, and it is a spectrum. Some of them, they are very scared of sensory, which I have the problem. If you see me outside, not in front of my screen, I will always be wearing my headphone. You won't see me without my headphone wherever I go, because some loud musics will trigger me. Some smells will trigger me. It's not I have autism, it's just the symptoms that I have, because some of it we share the same symptoms. So that's the thing that might impact them. And for me, not to say I don't talk to others, but if you met me for the first time, you may be scared to approach me because I didn't seem like someone approachable. I believe some of my juniors are scared of me. They thought I'm very serious one, but if you have known me for a while, you will wish I will shut up. That's what we call selective. I only talk to people that I know because how can I know if you are good or not? So I won't take the risk. So that's also a sign that symptoms that people with autism have. It differs. No two same people with autism have the same symptom.
Right.
So I hope I answer your question.
Is that okay, Max?
Thank you for your information.
All right. Thank you for your question as well, Max. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing stories and also asking questions to Yusra. This is really interesting and it is really touching to be able to hear and insight stories from you guys as well. We really appreciate it. Right. So, as usual, what's next in our agenda? Right. What's next is our first session of the Psychology for Educators dialogue or conversation. Now, we have few prompts that could guide you in your conversation. Number one, think about what is one point that surprised you the most from the sharing tonight. Things like maybe an aha moment for you. Oh, I did not know this before coming to the session. Wow, new things. That could also be one point that surprised you. Second one, share one situation that shows signs or symptoms of mental distress. Maybe to you, maybe to someone close to you in the family, maybe to your friends, maybe to just some strangers on the road that you just happen to see. When you see that, what did you do back then? Okay. And then number 3. This is for you. What do you do to maintain your mental health? And I'm pretty sure some of us have tried a few different things, right? Oh, I'm going to do this to regulate my stress, for example. But along the way, that didn't work out. And then you try another thing, and then you try another thing, until you found one that stick with you. How did you find out that it works for you? Right. Before I send you guys into breakout room for conversation, I will give you guys 3 minutes to just reflect on these 3 questions, these 3 prompts, and you can prepare what you want to say to your conversation partner later. Okay. I will keep the timer in 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes, I will send everyone to breakout room. Everyone here. All right, everyone, 3 minutes is up. All right, I will send you guys to the breakout room for 15 minutes. Get this chance, take this chance to get to know your conversation partner, say hi, maybe build a relationship. And then we will be seeing you guys back in the main room here after 15 minutes. See you.
Behind, is there any car right on the behind right? Then the doctor say no car, but then suddenly came one motorcycle. This means motorcycle and car is different. Motorcycle.
Yeah, the instruction was not clear. Then I asked her, why you say no car? There's a motorbike. She said, yeah, you asked me to see for cars. You didn't ask me to see about the motorcycle. Same like Yusra, like the instruction didn't say must open the lift first. Again, oh
Must be very specific. All right.
yes, yes.
Ah.
All right. Thank you, Tan. Right. I want to hear from maybe Neil. Neil, any interesting points that you pick up from your conversation partners just now in the breakout room?
I think my another conversation partner is Saiful. He shared about her daughter, which has quite similar symptom to me, which is had a lot of interest, and it's made me feel like maybe it's very common in he used the terms sandwich generation. Not not deny it, and I feel very agree too. And and also he shared about his experience as being like society mask for to cover his the reality that is the introvert. I think is very quite found similar because maybe I think a lot of people do it. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Neil. The reason why we ask in GTC we do it differently. Some place people might ask you to share what you have shared, but in GTC we ask you to share what your friends have shared instead because we wanted to see whether you're listening. So right, so this is why we have tuned the question differently. We hope that you enjoy the conversations that you have with your conversation partner in the breakout room just now, and we hope that you guys also have gained either new or refreshed insights into psychology from the sharing made by Yusra. We want to thank Yusra for leading the sessions tonight. It was very awesome, and I myself personally learned a lot of new things tonight, and I cannot wait to get to the part 2 of this with Yusra in our next session. All right. Just a little bit announcement, yeah. If you are here and you're not yet a member, if you are an educator or you work in education, or you have someone, I heard someone here, their spouse is an educator, maybe you can share this with them. If you're not yet a member, you can register now. It's bit.ly/DTC2024_register, or you can just simply scan the QR code below. Why we are encouraging you to become a member, you don't have to pay anything. It's free to sign up. You will get exclusive reminders about sessions, and also you will be eligible for opportunities. We have a few opportunities. We have just closed an opportunity to partner with some Japanese primary schools in Fukuoka for culture swap. So those are just one of the many things that is coming in DTC. Like you can also host opportunities if you want. So just to name a few, right? And if you would like to receive a certificate for tonight's session, there are 3 simple steps. Step 1, you can email your request together with session date to global.teacher.conversation@gmail.com. You provide whatever details you want on the cert. For example, if you want your full name on the cert, you put your full name in the email. If you want your short name on the cert, then you give us your short name on the cert. If you want your IC or ID to be written on the cert, you provide us with that as well. Some of our members requested certificate with details of name, IC number, and name of school. That can work as well. So step 1 is for you guys to write in a request to us. Step 2, we will review your request, because as much as our session is free, we also want to make sure that it is very effective to everyone, very engaging and meaningful to everyone present. So we will see whether you are actively participating in the session as well, to be fair for everyone, right? And then step 3, you will receive response to your request via email. Right? So simple, just write to us. And we would love to hear from you what you think of the session, what you learned from our session. We are on Facebook, you guys, so you can, like, if you'd like to do a post about the session or about your experience tonight, you can tag Global Teacher Conversation, because we would like to feature your post in our page. You can also check us out, our page. Just type Global Teacher Conversation on Facebook and you will find us there. Right. Some photo time. Right. I'll stop sharing. You guys can just switch on your video for a little while when we can take photo together. Oh yes, thank you, Max. Hey, I'm saying Saiful. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Neo. All right. William. William, your video okay? I couldn't see you. Okay, no problem. You guys ready?
Mm.
Hi. Come on. Hi. Everyone ready? Smile. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Just a little bit more before we finish. Right. So our next general session will happen 2 weeks from now on 9th of November. Same Saturday night, same starting point, 8 p.m. in Malaysia time. So if you're in Japan, that means it's 9 p.m. over there. So if you're already a member, then you can look up for email update for upcoming session. If you're not yet, then you can just register. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care and see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye.
So we have the third
Hello.
session.